Welcome to Turning Pro Challenge. This is week 17 account review. Just a quick disclaimer before we get started here, though. This is for educational purposes only and is not intended to be investment advice. Trading is a risky business, especially in derivatives like Forex. So make sure you are aware of the risk and, okay, taking the risk before you decide to put any money into trading. All right, so let's get going here. As you know, the point of the Turning Pro Challenge is to establish or develop the behaviors and actions of professional traders so that we are able to get professional results as well. A lot of times we all struggle through these things that normally a professional trader would not do, just like a professional athletes. Professional athletes do certain things that amateur athletes don't do, and as a result they get the results as well, which are way different than the amateur athletes. And same way, we are developing habits and traits of professional traders in order to get those results as well. If you do want to join this challenge and use the resources that I'm using, I'm taking a very structured approach to this challenge. So the idea is structure is what is missing in any of amateurs' life. So whether that's professional athletes or we're talking about professional traders, they all tend to have structure in place, which we are lacking. So that's what we're trying to do here. Make sure we bring that structure in our trading. And for that, I have created a workbook that you can follow along, which is what I use for my trading as well. So if you would like to download that or join the challenge, you can go to tradingwithvenus.com/turnpro and you can download that. So the point of this challenge is to first set clear goals. Once we have clear goals, then we can actually have an action plan. A lot of times I find we don't always have clear goals. Usually people start trading because they know of somebody else who is trading, or they hear about it. Somehow they hear about Forex trading and they decide that, okay, this is something that they should do as well, and they jump into it without really fully understanding how to set proper goals and stuff for that. So first we start with goals, and once we have clear goals as to exactly what we're trying to accomplish, the second step is to make a plan on how to accomplish those goals. And then, of course, just like anything that gets done professionally, it takes a ton of work, and we just go to work and we basically stick it out. There are rough times, there are good times, and there are all kinds of ups and downs. And through all of it, we stick to our plan and we finally reach the goal. All right, so that's basically what the Turning Pro Challenge is all about. So this was something that I started initially, or I started earlier in the year. So now we are on week 17. So this one actually is a little bit challenging video for me to do, and that's why I've kind of procrastinated on it, and I decided to do it live as opposed to doing it, recording it, and sending it out like I normally do. So the reason this is challenging is that I kind of fell off of the wagon, or I made some mistakes. So the plan, or the way I run this challenge, or what I do is I make sure I prepare fully. So these are the steps for our challenge as well, that we prepare fully. So there are 3 key steps. So I want to make sure that you guys are able to see my slides. Can someone comment and let me know if the slides are actually moving? All right. So 3 key steps that we usually go through are preparation, execution, and review. So with this week, I fell off of so you're seeing the first slide only, and they're not going through. I wonder why that would be. Let me see. Has it changed at all, or it's still on the first one? All right, so it looks like you guys are only seeing the first slide, and I've gone through a number of slides since then. Okay, so what I'm going to do is, I made it full. I had made it full screen. Did the slides change at all? No, looks like the slides are not changing. So you know what? I will just walk through it, I suppose. Looks like they're still not changing because I'm not. Okay. So bear with me. You know what? Let me just talk through this. How about that? We don't really need the slides. They're just there to help me out, just keep things on track so I know what I'm talking about and I don't lose my train of thought. But what I'm going to do is I'll just talk through it if that's okay with you guys. Okay, so what's going on this week? Like I said, I made mistakes this week. It wasn't. Things didn't go smoothly, and I'll take a look at what happened, what are some of the things that I'm going to do about it, right? So first, the big problem is that I am down, and that's in itself is not a problem. Taking losses is part of trading, so that's. It is part of doing the business, so it is what it is. However, the problem really is that I made mistakes. I made mental mistakes that I should not be making at the stage that I am in my career, and yet I made those mistakes. So that is the worst part of it all, knowing that you're not supposed to do something and you're doing it. So let me dive into what happened, and then I will share my plan on what I'm going to do about it so that I mitigate these risks going forward. So first thing is I was not feeling well. I was under the weather, and that's the biggest reason. I find when I am not feeling well, my willpower is not as strong. So it is easier for me to make mistakes. And I actually was quite vigilant about that. And because I was aware of this, last time I was not feeling well, I took a big loss. And as a result of that, I was very mindful of that I was not feeling well. I changed my schedule, a trading schedule, and I was pretty good at actually up until the very end, I was very, very good at managing the positions, although there are a couple of positions that I could have managed better. But overall, though, I was very good. I was right on top of it till about Thursday hit. And from there on, things went things kind of went badly or poorly from there on. So not feeling well was the biggest thing because I didn't take my profit or I didn't close out my position when I should have. And this is exactly what happened last time as well. So this is a pattern. So when I don't close out my position where I should have, and then it goes to break even and then it goes negative, there's no reason where things should go negative. So it's not that I didn't close out my position. I closed out half of my position, but what happened was I was not willing to accept the rest of it at a break even when I should have just walked away from it. There was really no reason for me to stick around in the trade. So that was my first mistake, was sitting around in trade. Now there's a pattern. So last time I wasn't feeling well, I made mental errors and I had a big loss. This time I wasn't feeling well. I made mistakes and mental errors. And as a result, I have incurred a loss as well. So there's a big correlation between how I am feeling, the health and the mental astuteness, I suppose. So that's one thing. So I'm just going to make a note of mistakes here, and then I'll come back and we'll talk about what I'm going to do about those. So first one is health. And second one is actually getting distracted by trolls. So this is what happened last time as well. And I'm finding that it bothers me more than Sorry, just a question here. Greg says, you're saying it's not the finding the right trades. Yeah, it wasn't about finding the right trade. It was managing. It was management, trade management so much, because I knew I had to be extra careful in entering trades. So I did not take any crazy trades. And I actually sat out for most part. Even on Friday, I didn't trade because I didn't see any right trades. So I just kind of left it. So that's the problem. And Vincent says, need to respect our plan. plan? Yes. So that was the problem. I did not. I moved my stops and I did all kinds of crazy stuff. So I threw my plan out the window because I was losing control of my discipline or self-management there. So that was the issue. And second one, like I said, I tend to take things a little personally. So that's a problem as well. So last week, what happened? It just seems like, I think it may be because I'm getting more visibility now. I seem to be getting more trolls as well. So last week, there were a few people, like 3 or 4 people who just, usually it has been great. Everybody that I am attracting to my channels and to my way of doing things have been super awesome people, a very positive response to everything, great questions when people ask questions, and very, very, like, really good people. I'm very happy with the audience that I'm attracting, but every once in a while, there tend to be people who just want to kind of take you down a notch. And sometimes people tend to argue over things that they don't know what they're talking about. And I made the mistake of responding to these questions or these meaningless, rude comments, I should say. And then instead of just cutting it off after giving a response when I should have and I try to respond to all the comments that I get on my channels because I want to make sure any questions that are asked of me that I do respond to people, because that's very important to me. Anyway, so I made the mistake. First mistake was actually engaging in this back and forth. And then after I saw that this was not getting anywhere, I should have just walked away from it. But it's just when I'm not feeling well, I find I do these things where my back I put my back up, and I just sort of engaged in this back and forth, which was pointless. But what happens is when you engage in these conversations or back and forth arguments, these things stay with you. And as the week went on, they started off okay, and it kind of negativity, it just kind of rolls off of my back. I don't really bother with it too much, but sometimes I find when I'm not feeling well, things tend to impact me more, and I tend to take these things personally. And anyway, so these conversations tend to stay with you, and they stayed with me. And as a result of that, I was just like I started to get demoralized when I had done nothing wrong. If somebody does not agree with what I'm talking about, it's okay, because normally it's okay. Usually I don't care about it because there are different ways. I'm of the opinion that there are different ways of trading. There are different ways of doing things, especially with Forex trading. There are so many different strategies. There's so many different ways of making profits in the market. I generally don't argue about strategy. And I don't argue about like how people do things. That's usually my practice of not arguing with it, because I've seen all kinds of people be successful with different strategies and different ways of playing the game. And I've seen all kinds of people fail, even when they have good strategy. So it's not so much about the strategy, it's about implementation of the strategy that gets the results. So anyway, this back and forth, when people start attacking you, I kind of took that a little bit more personally than I should have. And as a result of that, I carried those conversations with me. And in my mind, I blew them to be more than they should have been. So that was the second mistake. So one was my health. Second one was that just mentally, I became negative. And that just sort of, and I think that dug me deeper into the hole than I would have otherwise been. So that's that. And of course, like I mentioned, I threw my plan out of the window. Everything that I know how to do, I just didn't do anything. It's like being an athlete, or basketball player standing at a free throw line and nobody around you, and you can't shoot the basket. So it was that type of situation. So mentally, I was off of my game. And the third one was I have actually hired someone to help me stay the course. So one of the things that I need to do is a daily review as well as weekly review. So these reviews are really just looking at your trades, what opportunities were present during the day, what trades I took, how did the market react, and what things need to change differently or I need to do differently. So this is a very, very important part of the game. It's like watching your post-game video, right? So you kind of go back and you look at what happened, what you did, what the other team did, and where things need to change. So that's what I need to do. And I was not doing that too well because by the time it comes time to review the day, I'm already too tired. And it's one of those things you don't want to look back. It's just the admin work, right? It's just the grunt work. Trading is exciting. The actually putting things together is not as fun. So the trade journal I was still doing, but the actual review at the end of the day, that's when I found I kind of ran out of energy. So what I did was I just brought somebody in to help me just be there with me, be my accountability partner so that I would actually do this on a consistent basis. And for the last, not this previous week, couple weeks before that, I have been, that she's worked with me. We have done it together, and I have, as we saw, week 15 and 16, the results were awesome because I was doing all the right things and doing the things that were supposed to be done and getting them done. As a result, it was reflected in the trading profits as well. And last week, I found myself, because I was dragging myself around, I did not want to do that. I did for the first 2-3 days. I did do my trade journal. I did the daily review, and then I sort of fell off of the wagon there in terms of doing those things. And last week, I actually didn't post any trade setups in the Facebook group. I usually post all the trade setups, or not all, at least 3 trade setups that I noticed for that day. And I do projections. So daily market analysis I did, but I did not post any of those trade setups, which I find it's a very, very good practice. And then I didn't do the daily review, especially on Wednesday. I didn't do it on Thursday. I didn't do it, and I just made excuses. And I, as we can see, regretted them after the fact. So that was another thing. So I did not do my daily review. It's a very, very important practice. So first one is preparation. Then second one is review, looking backwards. So I did not do that. That was another mistake. And one more mistake I would say is having a maximum, basically a cutoff point in terms of risk, right? So I have been keeping my trade size normal. I was trying not to go too crazy, and that was another thing happened was I added on to my trades that it was one small trade. Even if I took a full loss, it would have been fine. Like in the grand scheme of things, that would have been minuscule. But instead, I just started taking trades, and I looking back at it, I just can't believe I did that. So anyways, I added to trade. So my trade size became too large. So instead of minimizing the problem, I actually expanded the problem by taking on too large a trade size. After everything was said and done, I was done. So that was the problem. So that's another question, right? So, and that's another thing that I need to address. So what do I do when I am doing those things? Last part, that actually is a little bit interesting that I found, but I didn't do my, meditation. Not only did I not, so this is a practice that I've started. Meditation I started a couple of weeks ago, but since a couple months ago, I suppose, I have started becoming a little bit more spiritual. It is weird. It's not something that I really talk about so much. I can't consider myself an overly religious person or anything like that. But the last little while, I have started sort of saying my prayers and things like that, just overall becoming a little bit more spiritual. And I have found that having that faith has actually helped get better results in my trading. So again, I don't care about what religion somebody is, or whether I have no comments on whether somebody should be religious or not. And again, I'm not overly religious, but I found that having just sort of letting go has been a really helpful. I tend to be a very controlling in terms of perfectionist person, and I'm very hard on myself, but letting go has helped me a lot. So I found that last week I was not very spiritually connected as well, and I didn't even do my meditation. And I was listening to Ray Dalio. Tony Robbins actually interviewed him for his financial freedom, whatever book that he wrote. Anyways, Ray Dalio is he has a company called Bridgewater Associates, one of the really, really crazily successful hedge fund. So he talked about in his interview with Tony Robbins. I've actually purchased this book that I'm going through, and I think I'll do a little podcast on how to implement some of the things that he talks about. He talks about in his book. He talks about how Bridgewater started, some of the mistakes he made early on in his trading career, and even later on, some of the problems they had, and a lot of different things about his trading. Anyway, I will do a little rundown on that. But one key point that I took away from his chat with Tony Robbins was the importance of meditation, because the markets are so dynamic and fluid. Meditation sort of helps you center yourself and make better decisions. That's basically what Ray Dalio was saying. And I found that to be useful as well. And my goal is to increase my meditation time. I'm just doing like 5-minute meditation or 10-minute meditation, nothing huge at this point. But last week I didn't do any of that stuff. So those are the things that I do on a normal basis to help me produce the results, and I basically stopped doing all of them. So those were the mistakes. And over the weekend, I have given this a lot of thought, and I have taken the time to really dive into, okay, what do I need to do? Because these are some of the challenges that will keep on coming back. I mean, we can't stop ourselves from getting sick, So, and I can't stop hateful comments. I can't stop trolls. I can't do any of those things. So what am I going to do about it? So having given this a lot of thought over the weekend, what I have come up with is health, first of all. So I'm going to go through all the mistakes and then talk about what is my plan in order to counteract these should they show up in the future. So the first one is health. Now, I have to say I do sit around a lot, and as a result of that, I'm not getting a proper exercise. So I have recently, about 18 days ago, I started this little challenge with my friend of 30 days of doing 200 crunches a day. Idea is that you make one cornerstone or keystone change, and it shifts other things in your life as well. So because I've been doing these little crunches, so I have also been out walking and things like that. But of course, I have young kids who tend to pick up germs and things like that from school, and of course, share it with everybody around them. So first, for health, what I need to do is I need to make sure I'm taking my supplements, and I need to make sure I'm getting enough exercise, and I need to make sure that my diet is good as well. So those are the three key things from health perspective that I'm going to start doing. I have started making green smoothies, and I found last week I wasn't even doing that. Actually, the week before I sort of fell off of that. So now I'm back on that. I had my green smoothie today. So that's the first thing. I'm going to make sure that things that I need to do, I have to make my health my priority, because it's hard to have a healthy mind when the body isn't healthy. And it's easy to, willpower is like a muscle, right? So it's easy to have that muscle deteriorate in a body that is not that healthy. So that's from the health perspective. So those are some of the things that I'm going to do. Okay, second part is negative comments and negative people and haters. What am I going to do about that? there's nothing to I can't get away from it. So it is my decision. I have chosen to be in the public eye. Nobody's forced this upon me. I am not required. Nobody's bending my arm. It's not part of my job to be able to be doing these things, to do a live session or do videos, produce videos or create content and things like that. But you know what? I feel that I'm good at it. This is a strength that I have. I have finally, after years, decades of not knowing what I was really good at, having different passions, but not really feeling like I had really a skill set somewhere. I find that I have a skill set for this. I am good at it. I enjoy trading, and I do have the knack for seeing the market properly. My analysis is usually very good, and sometimes markets will do things that we cannot predict, but for the most part, my analysis is good, and I'm proud of that. And I am comfortable with my trading and with my analysis, and I look back at things that I have learned over the years. Had somebody not taught those to me, or had somebody not written books about it, had somebody not produced videos about it, audio tapes about it back in the day, I would not have learned a lot of things. So this is also a way for me to contribute. Most of my stuff is free. So, so it's available to everyone. And if somebody will get offended that I put a little 2-minute promotion at the end of my video saying, come join my trade room, if that's offensive to them, then there's nothing I can do about it, right? So I do need to run a business, as well as I do need to contribute. So I'm just going to not worry about it. So I'm going to continue doing what I'm doing because I'm passionate about it. I'm good at it, and I'm good at teaching as well. So I have two strengths that coming together make it worthwhile for everyone. So that's that. And secondly, so one, I'm not going to stop. Secondly, I'm actually going to ignore the bad comments. If anybody asks me a valid question in a normal way, it doesn't even have to be a respectful way, but normal way, I will respond to the question. Any comments, I will respond to that. That's not a problem. But if somebody is just trying to take me down a notch, or they just want to be rude and they just want to be negative, they don't know what the heck they're talking about, but they just want to basically knock me off of wherever they think I am, that's not okay. And what I'm going to do about that is I'm actually just going to have my assistant go and remove those comments, because I don't need to see any negative comments. Trading is hard as it is. I don't need more negativity. I am hard on myself. I expect a lot from myself, and I find myself being hard on myself. And as a result of that, I create enough stress for myself that I don't need any external stress from negative comments. And I have been trying very hard to maintain a positive outlook on trading, on life, even in the trade room. One of my core principles is that it has to be positive. Even if you have a question, whatever, it has to be positive. Don't create negativity anywhere, because trading is a difficult business, and being positive gives us skills, or gives us, an opportunity to actually see the market in a way that is more realistic, as opposed to just being a Debbie Downer. So that's that. Anybody who is going to be mean to me, the comments are going to get removed. But I do understand that there are valid questions that need to be asked. So what I am going to do is start a live show, just like we do Facebook Lives. I'm going to start a live show for YouTube, and that will be more of a just ask me questions, right? Q&A show, so people can ask questions, and I will I will respond to those questions. So a lot of times people will either on my Facebook inbox or email or just comments on YouTube, people will ask questions, and I find I can't always get to, like, I will respond, but sometimes they will ask, how do I do this? Or what do you do under these circumstances? Or what happens? I have not been able to respond to a lot of those questions. So what I thought was I will collect all the questions like that I have sort of put on my list, but I haven't responded to that. I'm going to address that. I'll do a live show. If somebody really has a burning need to challenge me or anything, then I will allow myself an hour to get challenged. And I mean, not to be completely like a jerk about it, but if it's challenging is okay. It's okay to have like the opposites or a different perspective. There's nothing wrong with that. I actually quite promote that. So I will do that. If anybody has any questions, I will address those questions, or I will just kind of teach on a topic that a lot of people have asked questions on. So that's a Q&A show that I will do that will address the need of people asking questions, but without the negativity. And if I find any negative comments, any negative people, they're out. So that's that. Okay, third one is doing my daily tasks. So I am going to talk to the person who I have brought on as my accountability partner, and because she's new at this point, she doesn't always know how I will try to trick her and myself out of things. So I'm going to have a sit down with her and I have a heart-to-heart and tell her these are the things to watch out for. When I'm saying this is what's going on, so that she will call me out on those things. And as my audience, I and my friends here on Facebook as well, or wherever you're hearing me, I would say I have committed to doing, especially in the Facebook group, I've committed to putting 3 trade setups every single day and doing back testing and things like that, doing my meditation 4 days a week at least. So if I don't do that, please call me out on it. I will not be offended. I don't get offended on people calling me out on things. It's just that when people are disrespectful, like somebody, I posted a video on doing green smoothies. This is something that I've learned and I thought I will share because health is very important in our business. And yet somebody posts this stupid comment saying, oh, why don't you do an before and after bikini shot and we'll see how this is working out for you. Like, come on, people. Like, you don't need to be a jerk, right? And then the person goes on to ask me a question. So, and I'm sitting there thinking, are you for real? Anyway, I will not get into that, but that kind of stuff I will not stand for, and those kind of comments will get taken down. So, please be respectful if you're going to. Don't show your true self. Please be respectful if you are going to ask questions. I'm not going to respond to any questions when they're followed by those type of comments, right? So, but I will ask any valid questions. So I'm going to talk to her and we will set down certain rules that certain things need to happen regardless of what's going on. Unless I'm like literally in the hospital, I'm going to be doing my daily review. If I take a trade, if I'm well enough to take a trade, I'm well enough to do my daily review. No questions, period, end of the story. That's that. So I need to hold myself accountable to that. And I will make sure that happens with her. Next one is a trade size. So I sort of started taking crazy amounts of trades, like really, oh my God, looking back at it, I don't know what I was doing. So what am I going to do, right? What I'm going to do now is that for the trade size sort of loss, I reached out to my broker to see if there was a maximum loss size I could set. But anyway, they don't allow a maximum loss size. So over the weekend, I was chatting with my husband, and he has stepped up to be my risk officer for my trading. And what he's going to do is every day, I'm actually, as I start trading here, I'm going to give him my password, or I'm going to set him up to check on his phone to check my account. And of course, he doesn't trade Forex, so he doesn't, it's not what trades I'm taking that's the problem. He's going to look at my maximum loss. If my maximum loss exceeds 7 to 10% of my account, that is a drop dead cutoff position. He will close all open position, no questions asked. He will not call me. He will not check with me. They are just going to get closed, period. So, and I cannot argue with him about that. Though that's the commitment that I have made to him, that there will be a maximum drop dead stop that will get triggered. So this is just like in any prop trading firm, right? Or in any sort of a fund or whatever. Traders get certain amount of leeway in their trading. They can trade the trades that they want and that type of stuff. But there are these closeouts that get triggered at certain amount of losses. So there's usually a maximum loss. And when that happens, their trades get closed. That's it. And so he's going to do that for me. And that will mitigate the whole risk of me taking crazy trades and going beyond my maximum loss that I'm willing to incur. So the maximum that I will allow right now, actually, you know what, I'm going to set it at 7%. I was thinking at 10%, but I think that's a little high. I'm going to set it up at 7%. So that's the maximum loss that I'm allowed to sustain. Okay, so that's that. And the last one was to do with meditation. So I'm going to commit to doing meditation 4 days a week. And then I'm going to, actually, sorry, just a question. So Vincent, I'm actually not negative. I was actually not, I was still up. But I don't want to lose all my investment, right? I'm still in profit overall for the last number of weeks. It's just I have kind of wiped last week's profits with this week's loss. So overall, I'm still in profit, but I don't want it to ever to get to that place where I would be in a negative investment. So that's not as much of a concern. It's more of, let's say I made $2,000 in a week and then I'm going crazy, right? I lose $4,000 or whatever. So that's the concern. So I am... So Gregory saying he's traded with prop firms before and one had a negative 5% cutoff. Yeah, so that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to set a maximum stop of or a closeout of 7% of my capital. And as the capital grows, that number will decrease as well, because the 7% will be at one point will be too large, right? So I wouldn't want to do that. So at this point, I'm going to set it at 7%. And then as the account size grows, I'll take it down so that it's not too much money in terms of losses. So that's with the trade size. And then meditation, I have started, or I have been posting the meditation results in the Facebook group. So I'm going to go back to that. So back to what I was saying about trade setups and meditation, two things that I've committed to, and I will make sure I do those in the Facebook group. And please, if you are in the Facebook group, you don't see me post those two items, please call me out on it, and I will do that. And like I said, actually, the challenge that I had set up for myself was that I would do 100 burpees if I don't do that. So maybe I'll reduce that to 50 burpees. So one day I don't do either one of those, I will do 50 burpees on Facebook Live. So that will be my sort of the downside of doing that. So that's what I will do, but I will post those trade setups and meditation in the Facebook group so that I'm being held accountable over there as well. So that's that. So now that I have gone through all of that, let's take a look at it's a shame that I cannot show what the account results are. So what I'll do is I will post it in a separate spreadsheet, or I'll just take a copy of the spreadsheet and paste it in the Facebook group there. But currently I am sitting at, my account balance is $9,518, and my loss is $5,360.49. So I gave back more than last week's profit, and I kind of dug into the week before's profit. So the bad news is I lost $5,300, and currently last week my balance was at $14,878. This week it's $9,518. So I lost $5,360. Overall, since I started the challenge, started with $3,500. So to date, the return is, I'm sitting at 271%. 0.94% return. So overall, it's still positive, but I do want to make sure that I do not make these type of mistakes ever again. It's okay to take a loss. It's not okay with me when I'm start doing crazy things and I make things worse than they really are. So that's the bottom line. So I will post a little or not a little, but I'll post an image of my trade balance as well as my account onto the Facebook group, so you can definitely see that. All right. Thank you, Vincent, for joining in. So that's what I wanted to cover today. I was sort of killing myself or really just being hard on myself and dragging my feet on doing the video because of just feeling so terrible about doing these kind of crazy stuff so that I should not be doing and I do not expect myself to do. So I wanted to do a live session. So I thought, you know what, I'll just do it on a live session so that we just have a chat about it and then I can move past it. Greg asks a question, do I plan to continue this challenge? Actually, yes. My goal was to continue this until December, but I think at this point we'll just continue on. We'll just keep on going and see how things go. It's, you know what, I'm actually really enjoying the challenge. And as hard as it is to come here and say, oh my God, look at the stupid stuff that I did. But overall, I have to say it's been fun. It really certainly points out some of the drawbacks or some of the mental issues that you come up with. And it helps me really take a look at those in a very different light than I had done previously. I mean, I've done stuff like this previously, and I have made some plans on how to change it. I've implemented changes and kind of moved on from there. But this just puts a whole different light on it, because now not only do I actually sustain the loss, I have to come out and talk about the loss. And of course, it just opens me up to all sorts of different types of feedback. And it's hard to, because it's hard to really admit when you're wrong and when you have made mistakes that you know better not to do. It's like, being a very good player and choking on the free throw line. Those type of things are not expected from experienced players, experienced athletes. A new athlete, sure, right? Stuff happens. Or new traders, sure. But when you're experienced, you've gone through these things before. For you to do these things, repeat these mistakes, is just kind of hammers that in really in a whole different way. So I'm really appreciating but it challenges you to better yourself. And my husband actually sent me, I think it was a couple of weeks ago, I posted in the Facebook group, he had sent me this little write-up on how trading wasn't about the skill set. It was more about mastery of yourself. And I'm working on mastering myself. That's what I'm doing. So, Greg, yeah, that's okay. You don't have to join the challenge right now. You can join it when you come back. which is totally fine. But, what I found is that the more you talk about, more you track the results, more you do the small things, they really add up to produce good results. So I'll keep on going with the challenge. So don't worry about it. If you can start in September, that is totally fine. September it is, or October, whenever you're ready. So you can certainly join in. Now, I do have to say, though, I did not make these mistakes in the trade room. We did have, actually the trade that I did not close, we did close it out in the trade room, or the partial position that I carried on, we did close it out in the trade room. And it was a winning week for the trade room. So I tend to it's always like when you're in the public, you have public accountability, you do things better, or in the comfort of your home, you tend to make all the mistakes. So a trade room went well. I do have the trade room back now. So if anybody's interested in joining, I'll post a link to that as well. And I usually do market analysis Monday to Thursday, and I trade Tuesdays and Fridays. I trade the New York session, and then Wednesday and Thursday I trade the London session. All right, so I will wrap it up here. So Vincent, to join the challenge, you can go to tradingwithvenus.com / so I will post the link, tradingwithvenus.com / turn pro. And what that will do is you will get the resources that I have. I have a workbook and things like that. So stuff that I do on a day-to-day basis, I do. So anyway, so you'll get access to the workbook and so forth. So you can join the challenge that way. All right, so you guys that's it. We'll wrap it up. Any questions for me? So I have to say thank you very much for the comments here, and I appreciate the support. Trading is hard, and every once in a while we kind of make it more difficult for ourselves. I was really struggling having to do this call or having to kind of do the video. So thank you for supporting me and being there with me on this call so that I could actually do it. But my commitment is to tell you things as they are. I'm not here to tell you. You can become a gazillionaire trading. And this was one of the conversation I was having with somebody that I was getting upset at. They were totally saying this, you can make this much this week, every week, and like basically spreadsheet numbers that don't work out in real life. And I was trying to explain that things don't always go that way. Anyway, so thank you very much for being there, because it is hard to come out and admit your mistakes, especially in such a public forum, especially being in my position when I'm supposed to be an expert and I make dumb mistakes. So it is hard, but my commitment is that I will continue to show you things the way they are and talk about like real life issues that happen. And I will show you the pluses as well as the minuses, the negatives that happen even when I fall on my face. I committed when I started the Turning Pro Challenge, that was my commitment, that I will be honest and authentic about what happens and show you the behind the scenes stuff. So that's what my commitment is, and I will still continue doing that. So thank you very much for being on the call with me and supporting me in helping me keep that commitment. So you guys have a wonderful day. So tomorrow I'll be back with the backtesting sessions. And I love those backtesting sessions because just like any athlete, even if you're the greatest basketball player, you still go practice shooting the ball, right? So that's what the backtesting sessions give us. It seems all dull and everything else, but I find them fun. It's kind of nice to guess what's coming up next. So we'll pick those up again tomorrow. So tomorrow, every day of the week except for Friday, we will have that session, and then I will see if I can start the I may not be able to do the Q&A session live on YouTube this week, but I'll start that next week. So this week I'll just go and gather up the questions that people have asked, so that I have something to talk about when I do the live session in case there are no questions. But feel free to join the backtesting sessions tomorrow in the Facebook group. And for the YouTube, I will start those sessions next week. We'll have time to do this, just sort of sit there and talk about real life stuff. This is not so much the plan stuff, but we'll do that as well. So you guys have a wonderful day, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye for now.